In our world where your phone buzzes every 2 minutes, where we've got 17 browser tabs open right now, and where everyone seems to be an expert on everything, these 4 short books cut through that noise. I get how books can seem like a commitment nowadays, especially with everything moving so fast. But what if I told you that you could read each one of these in just a few hours? The practical value per page I've been able to extract from every single one is unlike any book I've ever read before, and I think you'll find this to be true as well, no matter who you are. For those of you that are only here for the reading list, these are the 4 books. I'd like to take you on a short journey of discovery. In my opinion, each of these books does its own individual part in finding a new sense of direction. If you let them, I truly believe these 4 books have the potential to fundamentally change your outlook on life. Before we do anything else, we need to understand where we're at. The 4 Agreements is about exactly that, critically examining our most fundamental belief system. According to the author Don Miguel Ruiz, this is all knowledge passed on over generations from Toltec wisdom, an indigenous society that lived roughly 1,000 years ago in modern-day Central America. Now what I want to do with this video is not summarize the books, more so encourage you to read them yourselves, but here's what stuck with me from the 4 Agreements. One of the core tenets of this book is that the way we experience the world is highly subjective, which in turn also means that we can form it to our liking. Throughout the pages, the author presents the literal 4 agreements, made to replace the big mass of toxic agreements we've unconsciously made and live by every day. It's difficult to even identify these agreements we've made with ourselves, let alone let them go if we deem them unhealthy. Ruiz proposes a framework of how to cleanse yourself of these old bad beliefs, to then replace them with newer, healthier ones. The 4 agreements. The first of the new agreements to internalize is be impeccable with your word. I really like this one, and the author explicitly emphasizes that this means internal dialogue as well. Words are very powerful and can be both uplifting but also poisonous. Use your word to spread love and speak to yourself in a positive way. With don't take anything personally, Ruiz means this very literally. You're never responsible for the actions or words of others, only ever responsible for yourself. The 3rd agreement, don't make assumptions, goes a bit deeper into relationships with others. For example, in any kind of relationship, we make a lot of assumptions that others know what we think. Asking many candid questions is a strong antidote against bad communication. Finishing off the book with the final agreement, always do your best, Ruiz motivates in a very compassionate way, stating that your best may change, but sticking to doing your best consistently is key. After you've cleared your mind of those pesky old beliefs, you also have to build the discipline to act on that newfound clarity. Nothing changes us more than action. It's only through action that we can gain new information to readjust our course in life, and then slowly but surely get closer to our goals. Theorizing all day with the same old information doesn't get anyone anywhere. You'd think with the title of the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, this would be very sales specific, but this book really contains a lot of general and practical wisdom. Throughout the story, you essentially follow this young guy on his journey of becoming a salesman in this older times Middle Eastern setting. He's mentored by a legendary businessman that gradually reveals him the secret of his success, a collection of scrolls containing ancient and powerful wisdom about business and sales. These scrolls make up a big part of the book and are implemented in a way that you're supposed to read them very often and internalize them. The book definitely seems a bit preachy and dramatic at times, with very strong Christian undertones. Some insight into the 10 wise scrolls. For one, the scrolls emphasize your attitude towards life. One of the key practices is greeting each new day with gratitude and priming yourself to spread love with the world. Something I wasn't expecting to read in a book about sales. Same goes for the 7th scroll, which focuses around not taking yourself too seriously and cultivating laughter. A lot of the scrolls are also about being resilient, sticking with executing on your goals, not getting demotivated by setbacks, but also not getting complacent with success. The most important and emphasized lesson though is action. Forming good habits and becoming their slave is the foundation for action. No success will ever be achieved. All plans and goals are worthless if not for action. Acting now, not tomorrow. Read this book if you want a handy quick reference to some surprisingly profound basic life lessons or need an extra kick of motivation to get started on something. What happens if times get tough? This is where famous psychiatrist Viktor Frankl has argued that having a purpose is most important. Man's Search for Meaning is a short but moving read, a classic that everyone should read at least once. The main part is an at times absolutely harrowing account of Frankl's time in Auschwitz and other concentration camps that really puts everyday struggles into perspective. Almost piercing through the darkness, it's incredible and inspiring to read Frankl describe how some of his comrades prevail and maintain their humanity. These are real stories of people going through some of the most extreme injustices, and it's definitely a hard read at times. Overall though, this book is a tribute to humanity and leaves you moved but also inspired. In my opinion, there's no sense in going over the exact situations that Frankl describes. There's simply no substitute for experiencing reading his transparency when recounting these horrifying memories. What I offer you though is a few key elements of the book that stuck with me. These, in my opinion, are both profound but also very hopeful. Frankl states that suffering is part of life. Without suffering and death, human life wouldn't be complete. Suffering becomes much more bearable the moment it finds a meaning, like in sacrifice. Also, as with most emotions, suffering loses most of its edge once we form a clear and precise picture of it. He quotes Nietzsche, "He who has a why to live for can bear with almost any how." Frankl also argues that we can achieve salvation through love. Love is the ultimate and highest goal to which we can aspire and vanquishes everything. Love helped many overcome the horrors of the concentration camp, as it's something no one can take away from you. Finally, Frankl lays out 3 ways you can achieve meaning in your life. Number 1 is creating work or doing a deed, essentially creative effort. Number 2, by encountering someone or experiencing something, like goodness, truth, nature, or culture, or by loving someone and being loved. And number 3 is by the attitude we take towards unavoidable suffering. Let's move on to a more lighthearted read, all about chasing your dreams with dedication. The Alchemist is about a boy named Santiago who's a shepherd in southern Spain. He's not super satisfied with his life, and eventually he has a vision of a treasure buried near the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Santiago decides to leave his sheep behind and go on a great adventure. The book is about this mystical journey to the Great Pyramids and the people he meets along the way, a sort of philosophical coming-of-age story. Santiago's dream becomes finding the treasure by the pyramids, and with that the whole story of the book sort of becomes a metaphor for chasing his biggest dream. He encounters many adults on his way that have given up on their dreams, and in the words of the book, they have stopped listening to their hearts. Being in an open dialogue with your heart is a big concept in The Alchemist, as is intuition. In a very spiritual way, the book is based on the idea that there's a universal current of life, a language of the world, that we know how to speak as kids but then lose as adults. Another theme permeating the whole book is being present, only living for the current moment. To quote from the book, "If you can concentrate always on the present, you'll be a happy man. Life will be a party for you, a grand festival, because life is the moment we're living right now." Some last rapid-fire profound concepts I really liked in this book. Death doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, and there's a lot of value in accepting that it's part of life. The fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. Most people see the world as a threatening place, and because they do, the world turns out to indeed be a threatening place. Finally, as with the other books, this book is about love as well. The power of love, as according to The Alchemist, is that when we love, we strive to become better than we are. All of these books don't really present any groundbreaking new ideas, but instead, I think, repackage some everyday profound wisdom in a very easily digestible way. There's definitely a few ideas that you can find throughout all of these 4 books. The most apparent of which is the emphasis on love. The 4 Agreements, for example, states that you should love unconditionally and say "I love you" freely without fear of ridicule. The Greatest Salesman praises encountering every new day with love in your heart, and that includes loving yourself as well. Man's Search for Meaning argues that love is the highest goal we can aspire to, and is the most powerful antidote against evil. And then The Alchemist is one big love story at the end of the day, making the case to never stop listening to your heart and always cultivate intuition. There's a lot more to each book, of course, but having them all agree on love in their own ways, I think, is a beautiful testament to human nature. These books are all really short. Definitely check them out for yourselves. They're linked under this video. Like I do with most books that I find impactful, I've summarized these books for myself on Notion. If, for some reason, it's somehow not possible for you to read these books and you're instead interested in my summaries, I've also linked these down below. If you've already read any of these books or end up reading them, let me know how you like them. I'd love to hear from you. Anyways, have a great rest of your day and thank you so much for watching.